welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into two major updates in the ongoing Manny Wise Vegas case. Updates that could completely shift how this trial unfolds. Remember, on June 8, 2025, a tragedy unfolded on the Las Vegas Strip. Content creator Manuel Ruiz, better known online as Manny Wise, was accused of shooting and killing fellow creator Rodney Finley and his wife, Tanisha. The shocking incident wasn't just another headline. It was apparently captured on a live stream, making this case one of the most public and polarizing trials we've seen in years. Manny turned himself in the next day, claiming he acted in self-defense. Prosecutors, however, have painted a very different picture, pointing to a long-standing social media feud between Manny and Rodney that they believe escalated into violence. Since then, Manny has faced charges that could carry the death penalty if he's convicted. His defense has been under intense scrutiny, while the internet remains divided. Some see him as a dangerous man fueled by online beef, while others argue he was pushed to the point he had to do it. And now, we've got two major updates that could reshape how this case moves forward. Just this week, Manny Wise, or legally Manuel Ruiz, took another bold step in his defense strategy. He filed paperwork to dismiss his current special public defender, Violet Rodasta. In plain English, Manny is telling the court, "I don't want this lawyer representing me anymore. This is a big deal." In the American justice system, a defendant's relationship with their attorney is critical, especially in a case like this, a capital murder trial where Manny is facing the possibility of the death penalty. Normally, defendants with limited resources rely on public defenders appointed by the court. Manny's case was serious enough that he was assigned a special public defender, someone experienced in high-stakes trials. But by filing to dismiss Violet Rodasta, he's signaling dissatisfaction, maybe even distrust, with how his defense is being handled. The court has already set a hearing date, October 16, 2025, in front of Judge Tierra Jones. That's when Manny will make his case for why his current counsel should be removed. The judge will decide if the request is justified. And here's the kicker. Dismissing counsel at this stage could delay proceedings, complicate the timeline, and change the entire strategy heading into Manny's death penalty trial set for August 17, 2026. So what happens if the motion is granted? Manny has a few options. He could be assigned another special public defender. He could attempt to hire a private attorney if he somehow secures the funds. Or, and this is the most dramatic possibility, he could try to represent himself. Now, representing yourself in a death penalty case is extremely risky. Judges often warn defendants against it because the law is complex, the stakes are life and death, and missteps can be catastrophic. But under U.S. law, if a defendant insists on self-representation and is deemed competent, the court has to allow it. Now, let's break down what that actually means and why it could change everything about how this trial moves forward. When a defendant in a high-profile criminal case dismisses their attorney, three possible scenarios usually follow. 1. They decide to represent themselves. 2. They request a different court-appointed attorney. 3. They hire private counsel, someone they believe can fight harder or build a stronger case. Right now, Manny hasn't made it crystal clear which path he's leaning toward, but the timing here is critical. His trial date for the death penalty phase is already set for August 17, 2026. That might sound far away, but in legal time, it's right around the corner. If Manny ultimately chooses to represent himself, the risks go far beyond his own defense strategy. It could also reopen wounds for the victims' families. Without the filter of an experienced attorney, Manny would have the freedom to question witnesses, challenge evidence, and address the jury in ways that might come off as mocking, self-serving, or even performative. In high-profile trials, self-representation can sometimes blur the line between a courtroom and a stage, and if Manny uses that platform to push his own narrative rather than focus on the facts, it could feel like a cruel joke to the families of Rodney and Tanisha Finley, forcing them to sit through arguments that minimize or distort their loss. In the end, such a move could deepen the pain rather than bring any sense of justice or closure. If Manny represents himself, it would be a dramatic, risky move. The U.S. Constitution does give defendants the right to act as their own attorney. It's called pro se representation, but judges strongly warn against it. Trials are complex. Evidence rules, cross-examinations, objections. One misstep could be fatal to his case, especially when the death penalty is on the table. If he goes for a new public defender, the court would have to assign someone else from the roster. That could cause delays, as the new lawyer would need months just to get caught up on the mountains of discovery in this case. We're talking terabytes of evidence files. And if Manny somehow hires private counsel, that raises another set of questions. How would he pay for it? What kind of legal team would step in? And And would they really be ready to handle one of the most high-pressure criminal cases in Las Vegas right now? The next key date is October 16th, 2025. That's when Manny will stand in front of Judge Tierra Jones here in Clark County to make his request official, dismissing Violet Rodasta and explaining how he intends to proceed. One thing is obvious. Manny is not happy with his defense team. Whether it's about strategy, communication, or trust, we don't know yet. But changing lawyers at this stage signals tension, instability, and possibly desperation. So here's the big question. Is Manny buying himself more time, searching for the perfect legal champion, or setting up to take the case into his own hands? Whatever the answer, the October hearing could reshape this trial before it even begins. So when you put these two updates together, the preservation of evidence and the possible shakeup in Manny's legal team, what you get is the picture of a trial that's anything but straightforward. On one hand, the judge's decision to preserve all evidence means nothing gets swept under the rug. Every video, every photograph, every digital file connected to this case will remain on the table. That gives Manny's defense team, or perhaps Manny himself if he goes forward without counsel, the chance to comb through every detail, looking for inconsistencies, oversights, or anything they can use to support his claim of self-defense. To some, this might look like a win for transparency. After all, if you believe Manny's version of events, then having more evidence preserved gives him a fairer shot at proving his case. But then you have the other side of the coin, Manny's sudden move to dismiss his current special public defender, Violet Rodasta. This opens up a whole new layer of unpredictability. Will he hire private counsel? Will he try to represent himself? And if he does, what kind of courtroom drama could that create? A defendant speaking directly to the jury, without the careful strategy of an attorney, could turn this trial into something far more volatile and potentially more painful for the families of Rodney and Tanisha Finley. So now, let's circle back to you, the viewer. Imagine you're sitting in that jury box. Do these updates make you lean more toward believing Manny's story of self-defense, the idea that he was provoked, pushed, and simply reacted? Or do they raise even more doubts about his credibility, suggesting a man who's scrambling, shifting strategies, and trying to control the narrative by any means possible? I want to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and remember, don't take my word for it, don't take any single channel's word for it. Always fact-check, search online, look at multiple sources, and make sure you're forming your opinion based on verified information, not just the noise. And that's where things stand for now, a trial with preserved evidence that could shift the narrative, and a defendant who may be walking into court with an entirely new legal strategy. Whether this makes the case clearer or murkier is still up for debate, but one thing's certain, the road to August 2026 is going to be full of twists. Now, if you've been following this story closely, you'll want to stick around. Next week, I'll be releasing a members-only deep dive where we'll simulate how Manny's trial could actually play out, from opening statements to cross-examinations, all the way to closing arguments. It's going to be an hour-long breakdown that puts you in the jury's seat and asks, based on what we know, how would you rule? So make sure you join the membership if you haven't already. You'll get early access, exclusive content, and the chance to be part of the conversation in a deeper way. Until then, stay curious, stay critical, and I'll see you in the next one.